Hello, my name is Shannon Kringen. I'm an artist and an art model. I'm an animal lover, a nature lover, and an intuitive philosophical person. I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, and I believe in science and spirituality. I'm not an atheist, but I don't believe in religious man-made God. But what I'm seeing right now is something that I did a painting on when I was 17 years old in high school. I did a painting about what's currently happening. It is now September 23rd, 2021. I'm a unique individual soul on this planet. I do believe all life has a soul. There's a heart, a mind, a body, and a soul. And I feel like what's happening right now is a war against spirituality and a war against nature. And the irony is that the leaders of the world are saying that we're going to save the planet. And I'm a little bit concerned that some of their ideas are actually trying to take over nature and control nature with various things that are feeling really Frankenstein-ish. And obviously that saying Frankenstein is silly, but it's just like a weird sci-fi movie at this point. But Hundertwasser is one of my favorite artists, and he was a naturist and a naturalist. And he believed in architecture and paintings being in harmony with nature, and that architecture shouldn't have straight lines. And there's a whole philosophy about Hundertwasser that resonates with me right now. And whoops, my water bottle fell. So I wanted to talk about my philosophy of beyond duality. Here's some of my artwork, partly inspired by nature and Hundertwasser and the shapes that I see in plants and animals. I want to read you something that I just wrote. When I was 17 years old, I wish I still had the painting, but I don't. I did a painting, an intuitive improvisational abstract painting, and I didn't know what it meant until after I painted it. And then I realized I did a painting of the humans that go against nature and try to control it with technology, and the humans that want to stay in harmony with nature and work with nature. So I wrote, where science and spirituality overlap is where the truth lies. And I feel like the rest is dogma on either extreme of total science atheism versus spirituality and religion. And I'm talking about actual wisdom. I'm not talking about shallow, stupid things that are both taught in science and religion. Like, for instance, the wisdom in philosophical religious ideas about helping those less fortunate, about how we're all connected, about how if you hurt one person, you're hurting everyone. These are spiritual wisdom philosophies that are not harmful to people. When religions teach about guilt and shame and fear and people going to hell and all this kind of like guilt, fear, shame, control, cruelty, abuse, inhumaneness, that's where I don't really think religion is very wise. But where religion is actually actual wisdom that helps people live better lives and love each other and take care of the earth and the people is where the wisdom is. Kind of more like Native American spiritual great spirit wisdom, body, mind, heart, and soul, and in an intuitive sense that we are part of the whole universe and that human beings are not. It's like, I feel like the general population right now is being encouraged to think that we are too stupid to think for ourselves, and we are too stupid to question things and do our own research. And I don't agree with that. And the part about science that is not wise is when human beings have manufactured pesticides and chemicals that we thought we were outsmarting nature with synthetic fertilizer and pesticides. And then we later find out that some of these cause cancer, or some of the chemicals. If you watch the movie Erin Brockovich, you'll see that sometimes corporations get a little caught up in wanting to make money, and they think they can outsmart nature by inventing chemicals. Like, I think in Erin Brockovich, the main chemical that was causing cancer that they were trying to cover up was something that was to help something not rust. And so as humans, we thought we were smart by inventing a chemical that stops rust from happening, which is good for the machinery in the industry that they were, whatever it was they were doing, that they wanted rust to not happen. But then we found out that that made cancer happen and other diseases in humans. And so it was good for machinery and stopping rust, but it was not good for humans. And so there's an example of science gone wrong. Like humans think that they can invent all, I mean, it's amazing what humans have invented scientifically. We have come up with amazing technology, and yet some of it harms nature, some of it harms. And so we get carried away. And so when I say Frankenstein, what I mean is humans get carried away. So I feel like what I'm witnessing in the painting I did was about the people who are living in harmony with nature and feeling like a humble part of nature. And sometimes spiritual people have that more of that kind of attitude. Like, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, meaning I don't think that human beings have all the answers. And I feel like we need to look to the wisdom of nature. And I would say God to me is nature. I don't believe in religious God, but I'm not here to argue with anybody who's religious in a traditional way or somebody who's an atheist. I'm neither. I'm not an atheist, but I'm also not religious. I'm spiritual. I believe in science and nature where they overlap, meaning I believe in ethical science. And if something is sponsored by a large corporation and there's a lot of money involved, then we're not always getting the full scientific truth, because real science is objective. And when they discover new things, they say, oh, we were wrong about this. Now we're changing our mind and going this way, instead of it being set in stone. Like 200 years ago, we believed many different things that we don't believe now. And 100 years from now, we will probably believe something different than what we believe now about science. So this is what I wrote in my journal earlier today. There's basically a war on spirituality right now, and it really kind of makes me feel sick to my stomach. I'm not a religious person, but I'm a spiritual person, and I believe in science and spirituality both. If you listen to Einstein and quantum physicists, you can learn something about it's not one extreme or the other. It's not that you're a total atheist who believes in science, or you're a total religious person who believes in superstitious religious beliefs that may or may not be true. They might be metaphors. Some people take it literally. To me, it's a philosophy. And the irony is that some of the people in charge are saying that we're going to help the planet, when actually I think some of their ideas are going to do anything but help the planet. Quite the opposite. Treating humans and nature like it's a machine, in my opinion, is very toxic. Using chemicals and trying to control things and alter and genetically modify people, plants, animals, food, the air, the earth, everything, nature, is getting really weird and Frankensteinish. And that's what I wrote. And then what else did I write? Freedom of thought. Going off script. There's a very narrow dogma right now that is being regurgitated and parroted by certain people that have authority over other people. I'm trying to be really vague and not specifically say what I'm talking about. I just believe in the freedom of thought. And I believe in living in harmony with nature as much as I can, not that I'm perfect. So there's the duality. There's beyond the duality of thinking that you're either a total atheist who believes nothing is spiritual, and I guess you believe that Earth is just this random accident and it means nothing. We have no soul. We're just human bodies that get old and die, and it means nothing. And we believe in science. In other words, we believe in using chemicals and controlling things, and that there is nothing spiritual, and that, you know, the ecosystem, there's synchronicity, and the ecosystem is amazing. So my kind of spirituality believes in the creativity of nature. I don't believe I'm separate from what I would call God, but to me, nature is God. And so the kind of spirituality I believe in, or that I feel in my heart and soul and in my intuitive sense, is the kind that overlaps. Where science and spiritual wisdom overlap is where I think the truth lies. And then I think that there is religious dogma and scientific dogma. Like scientists that discover new things are usually ridiculed, ostracized, and made fun of. Like the first guy who came up with the earth isn't flat, or the first guy who came up with we should wash our hands if we're working on cadavers, and then we help women give birth. A lot less people get sick or die if we wash our hands, which sounds really normal nowadays. Now we understand that. But now, at the time, the guy who invented that, discovered that, I forgot his name. He was ostracized and ridiculed and made fun of. And then I think it took up to 50 years later before scientists realized, oh, that guy was right. Oh, okay, we were wrong. It matters if you wash your hands if you're going to work on a cadaver versus someone giving birth. Other things that we've discovered is when you overuse antibiotics or when you overuse chemicals, it does one good thing, like pesticides and fertilizers do one good thing, but then it depletes the body of something else. Just like if you overconsume certain vitamins, it actually depletes, it gives you too much of one thing and depletes your body of something else. So I'm saying that there's a balance. So when people get carried away with inventing technology and chemicals to create one good thing, then it does something else bad. Like chemotherapy will kill the cancer, but then it will also kill the good cells. And so if you overuse chemicals in your house, like if you wipe everything down with harsh chemicals that sterilize everything, it gets rid of the bad germs, but then it also gets rid of the good germs. Like if I take antibiotics every single day, I will sterilize my gut flora, and then I will ironically be less healthy if you overkill the bacteria in your body, or, because our bodies are filled with microorganisms, just like the soil. Like if I took bleach and poured it on the soil out in the forest, that would harm the soil in the forest and the trees would die. If you just pour bleach everywhere in the forest, it would overkill. Like it might get rid of some bad stuff that you're trying to get rid of, but then it also gets rid of the good stuff. So if you overdo that, so beyond the duality would be of discerning between what is healthy and what is toxic. Humans are amazingly creative. We are amazing. We've created and invented amazing technologies over the last few hundred years or 1,000 years or whatever. That's amazing. But I think right now we're getting really carried away. I mean, some humans are getting really carried away with thinking they can control nature and direct where it's going to go next. Maybe that's what we're supposed to do as a species. Maybe we are supposed to get really carried away with our inventions and see where it goes. Maybe this will be the end of certain kinds of civilizations. I mean, think of 1,000 years ago, how different things were. 1,000 years ago, things were pretty different than they are now. I wonder what things will be like 100 years from now, even 5 years from now. I'm just sharing. This is Shannon Kringen. I'm an intuitive, philosophical kind of gal. And I don't want to lose my heart and soul and my sense of intuitive spiritual wisdom mixed with scientific. I'm not against science, but I am against science that is harmful to the planet and to humans. And I feel like pesticides and fertilizers and chemical additives in our foods is an example of humans inventing something really interesting that has not been helpful to the health of people, plants, animals, the soil. So we get a little carried away. And to me, if you have respect for the creative force in the universe, because I feel like we're all part of the universe, I don't believe that God is separate from me. I don't really believe in God per se. I believe in nature. I believe in the creative energy of the universe and how humans, we are just one species in this universe. The whole ecosystem works together, the plants, the animals, the people, the microorganisms, the earthworms. And when I listen to quantum physicists and Einstein and people like that talk, it resonates. Because I think that the smartest scientists say that you can't prove that there's no, you can't prove that there's no God, but you can't prove that there is God. You can't prove that there's spiritual energy beyond just this basic. We don't know, like there's mysteries in the world. My favorite musicians, Tom Petty and Tori Amos and Bob Dylan and Neil Young, all of them have talked about how they feel like they're channeling their music and it's beyond just their own human self. And you could say it's a spiritual, mystical kind of thing. And then there's people making fun of that. There's people that think if you believe in science, you have to be an atheist. Or if you're religious, you must have no respect for science. And I personally, I don't fit. I'm beyond the duality. I believe in where spiritual wisdom and scientific discoveries overlap, then there's truth where it overlaps. And the rest is dogma. Like there's scientific ideas that we think might be true. And then we discover, oh, we were wrong about that. Okay, cut that out. We're wrong about that. Like we thought the earth was flat. Oh, wrong about that. Or we thought we shouldn't wash our hands, wrong about that. Some of the pesticides and fertilizers we're using, now we realize, oh, that's carcinogenic. Gee, maybe we shouldn't use that chemical. Maybe we need to come up with some other idea. Ironically, my mom used to read me a book as a kid called Nature Thought of It First, about the wisdom of nature and about how camouflage, the idea of camouflage, we got from nature. Humans got that from nature. The way we camouflage in war, all the different uses of camouflage we saw nature camouflage, like chameleons or whatever, camouflaging, or animals that camouflage themselves to hide from other animals, from predators. So there's a lot of wisdom in nature. And about current things happening in the world, I'm just going to be really vague because I don't want to make any claims that get me in any kind of trouble. So let's just say that I have an intuitive sense of how to take care of my health, and I'm doing that. I'm not going to tell you what that is. That's my own secret. I'm just doing what I think is best for my health. And it does not involve me using harsh chemicals to clean my house. And it does not involve me taking tons of antibiotics. I mean, if a doctor tells me I need antibiotics, I will take them, but then I will also balance it out with probiotics, and I will consult with people that I trust, and I will figure it out. But even with my cat is on a raw meat diet, carnivore diet for cats, specifically designed, nutritionally balanced for cats. I don't want to over medicalize my cat's life. My cat is 15 and he's doing well. His digestion improved when I switched his diet from synthetic dead meat in a can that had weird fillers and preservatives and like wheat, corn, soy, potato. Just as an example, my cat now is a full carnivore, and cats are made to be carnivores. And so my cat is on a species appropriate diet. I personally am on a species appropriate diet. I lean in the carnivore direction myself, and I'm doing well. But I'm doing this on my own. This is my own intuitive thing that I'm doing for my cat and myself to be healthy. And I'm just saying that my personal philosophy is beyond the duality of thinking that if I believe in science, I'm an atheist, or I'm a total religious person that believes in every religious idea, even if I don't. So I don't really fit into a box. I'm beyond the duality. There's a line in a Tom Petty song, I ain't on the left and I ain't on the right. I ain't even sure I got a dog in this fight. And that's a Tom Petty lyric. And that is from a song called Power Drunk, I think. Power Drunk. It's very applicable to today. Power Drunk by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. So thanks for listening. It's again September 23rd, 2021. And it is like 12:03 noon. And I am going to hang out with my cat and walk in the forest barefoot today and hang out with some dogs that I'm helping take care of and do my artwork and update my websites and think about non-duality, beyond the duality of us versus them, of left versus right, of being a total atheist who believes in science versus a spiritual religious person. Again, I'm neither. I'm not religious, but I'm a spiritual, and I do believe in science. But when something is sponsored by a large corporation that wants a certain result, you might want to question the science that they're telling you in certain ways. And also, scientists discover new things constantly. Again, 200 years ago, we thought really different things than we think now. Just food for thought. I'm just one human on this earth questioning what is true and what is false for myself, and trying to live the best life that I can live. Try not to focus too much on the mass media, and trying to focus on my own life and my family and my friends and my local community. I live here in Seattle, Washington, United States. And so I can only do what I can do myself. And I think people are a little bit too obsessed with worrying about what other people are doing or not doing. And maybe it's might be good. Personally, my idea for myself is for me to be a good person means that I mostly focus on taking responsibility for myself in my life. And I don't worry so much about what other people are doing or not doing, whether I agree or disagree. But that seems to be a radical idea these days, which is kind of odd to me. I believe in ethics. I believe in common sense. I believe in empathy and compassion. I believe in wisdom. I believe nature is amazing. The ecosystem is amazing. Humans have invented some wonderful things, and humans have also been destructive with some of their inventions. There's positive and negative aspects to our creative technological exploration. And I think in terms of food and agriculture, it might be nice if we went back to regenerative agriculture, like how we did in the 1800s. And once again, I'll mention Amish people. I think there are some aspects to Amish people that I think are so wise. Some other strict religious beliefs I wouldn't agree with probably, but because I don't know fully all about that. I've watched some documentaries. I've been to Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. But the vibrations I get from Amish people are pretty healthy. And I like that they're humble and they help each other and they're close to the earth and they work hard and they, I think, have respect for nature and try to work with nature and not harm themselves or nature. And I think it just ironically, there's something nice about less is more. There's something nice about not depending on electricity. I mean, here I am right now recording myself on a webcam on a computer. Obviously, everything I'm doing, this microphone, everything is electric. I'm using electricity to record this. But I partly envy Amish people that can live in a more simple way without a bunch of electricity in terms of your physical health, without all those electromagnetic fields, without the distraction and the stress and the ADHD of OCD of keeping up on all the websites, and instead of losing sight of your own family and friends. And like my cat is sitting next to me right now, my beautiful kitty, and I'll show you, my beautiful kitty is sitting, he's a cutie pie. See, there he is. So, and I'm sitting with next to all my house plants. I love my plants. My tattoo means be yourself no matter what they say. It's a lyric from a Sting song, Englishman in New York, that I love. Be yourself no matter what they say. I've always been somebody who kind of, to some extent, follows the road less traveled. And I'm going to let the chips fall where they may. One day at a time. I'm very improvisational. So good luck, everyone. Just wanted to share some of my ideas of beyond the duality of science versus spirituality. I believe in both. I believe in spiritual wisdom and spiritual intuitive love for nature and how I'm part of nature. I'm not separate from nature. I'm just a human part of nature. And science is fascinating to me. And science is not all the same, and science is not simple. There's a full spectrum of science, and there's a full spectrum of spiritual philosophy. There's something called science of mind that kind of lines up with what I'm saying, but I'm also not part of that religion. Like, I've listened to lectures on those kinds of things. My mom raised me with Advaita Vedanta, non-duality, a certain kind of Hinduism, and Krishnamurti, a guy from India who didn't really fit in a box. People tried to follow him. He said, don't follow me. Ask yourself, go within, ask yourself. I appreciate Eckhart Tolle. I appreciate people who say, ask yourself, listen to your wisdom within instead of giving all your power away to other people or organizations. That also seems like a radical idea these days. I love nature. I love health. I love wisdom. I love the microbiome in my own body and the microbiome in the forest, in the soil. I appreciate regenerative agriculture, like the place in White Oak Pastures in Georgia. They do this amazing thing called regenerative agriculture, where they work with the earth in a non-harmful way, and they work with raising plants and animals and harvesting plants and animals, and they make everything about their plants and animals into regenerating the soil, and they sell it at their farm store. And I'm just like, I feel like if I had to change my whole life, maybe I would go live and work on a regenerative farm somewhere so that I could just do what I really believe in, which is taking care of the earth and the soil and my own health and the health of plants and animals. And for me, that includes eating animals and loving animals. I can love animals and eat animals. See, there's non-duality as well in that. I can be a spiritual person and a scientific person, both. So I think some people think you have to be one extreme or the other, and I just don't see it that way. But I don't expect everyone to understand my points. I'm sure some people think I'm ridiculous, blah, 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 whatever. I don't know. I'm trying to not worry so much about if people make fun of me or if people think I'm great. Who cares? Who cares if you like me or you don't like me? Like, I'm trying to, obviously I care. People want to be loved. I don't want to be ridiculed and ostracized. Nobody wants that. But at the same time, I need to find my own inner strength and know that my life means something. I'm on this earth temporarily, and I'm just doing what I believe in with my time on this planet. And I'm so grateful that I have food and shelter, and I can do my art, and I can be in nature and walk in the forest and enjoy that and smell the wonderful pine trees and the eucalyptus trees and the earth and love my cat. So just wanted to share that. Bye for now. My website is ShannonKringen.com. And there's subscription websites you can join. Just ask me if you want to support me in some way or just enjoy. I also have thousands of photos on my Flickr that you can publish for free under the Creative Commons license. And all over the world, people have published my photos and just give me credit. I'm really grateful. Just wanted to share that. Bye for now. Thanks for being here with me.